He had a stable job, a small apartment, a predictable routine. From the outside, it looked like he was doing fine, but on the inside, he felt like he was slowly suffocating in his own comfort zone. And if you've ever felt safe but secretly stuck, this is your story too. For years, Ryan did everything he was supposed to do. He went to school, got a reasonable office job, paid his bills on time, and avoided taking big risks. His life was calm, familiar, and controllable. No big failures, no big embarrassments, no big losses. But there was also something else, no real excitement, no deep sense of purpose, no moments that made him feel truly alive. Every weekday looked the same. Wake up, commute, sit at a desk, answer emails, nod in meetings, come home, eat, scroll, sleep. On weekends, he repeated a softer version of the same routine, some errands, some shows, maybe a small hangout. Nothing pushed him, nothing scared him, nothing changed him. Deep down, he knew there was more he wanted. He wanted to try new things, travel, build something of his own, or at least work on a passion project that mattered. But every time a new possibility appeared, another voice spoke louder. What if you fail? What if you look stupid? What if people judge you? What if you lose what you already have? That fear of failure was like an invisible fence. He could see the world beyond it, but every time he got close, it shocked him back into place. So he stayed where it was safe. He told himself he'd start one day when he had more money, more time, more confidence, but that day never came. Instead, the years did. One afternoon, while cleaning out an old drawer, he found a notebook from his early 20s. Inside, there was a list titled, Things I Want to Do Before 35. As he read it, his chest tightened. Start a small side business, learn a new language, travel to at least 3 countries, speak on a stage about something that matters. Looking at that list in his 30s, he realized with a mix of sadness and shame that he had not done a single one of those things. Not because he couldn't, but because he never tried. He closed the notebook and felt that heavy word settle in his mind. Stuck. Not poor, not hopeless, not incapable, just stuck in a life that was comfortable but never really chosen. That night he couldn't sleep. He lay in bed replaying the same question over and over again. If I keep living exactly like this for the next 5 years, how will I feel? The image was painfully clear. Same desk, same commute, same apartment. Same half-awake existence. He imagined waking up one day older, looking back, and realizing he had spent his best years hiding from embarrassment and calling it being realistic. That thought scared him more than failure ever had. For the first time, he realized that staying in his comfort zone was not neutral. It was a quiet way of throwing his potential away. The next morning, he made a decision not to blow up his entire life overnight, but to start stepping out of his comfort zone on purpose. He grabbed that old notebook again and wrote a new title on a fresh page, From Safe But Stuck to Fearless My Growth Zone Year. Under it, he wrote one key belief he had seen in other people as stories but never lived himself. Growth begins where my comfort zone ends. Then he gave himself a simple rule. Every week he had to do at least one thing that scared him a little but could make his life bigger. Not reckless things, stretching things. Applying for something he didn't feel 100% qualified for. Saying yes to an invite he usually turned down. Sharing his ideas instead of staying silent. Posting something he cared about instead of just liking other people's content. The first week, his fear step was small. He went alone to a public speaking meet where people practiced short talks. Just registering made his heart race. On the day of the event, his mind tried every excuse. You're tired. You can go next time. It's not a big deal. But he remembered that 5-year vision of a stuck future, and that hurt more than the thought of being awkward in a room with strangers. So he went. His voice shook. His hands were sweaty. His talk wasn't perfect, but he did it. Walking home that night, something strange happened. His life hadn't magically changed. He wasn't famous, and his problems didn't disappear. But there was a new feeling in his chest. Pride. Not because he had nailed it, but because he had done something that scared him and discovered he could survive it. That small victory became the first crack in the wall of his comfort zone. Over the next few months, he kept his promise to himself. Each week, one new step. He applied for a role inside his company that required leading a small project instead of staying in the background. He signed up for an online course related to a field he actually cared about and did the assignments even when he felt behind. He reached out to people he admired on LinkedIn, not with a fake pitch but with genuine questions. Most didn't reply, but a few did, and those conversations opened his mind to possibilities he'd never considered before. Every time he acted despite fear, that fear lost a little bit of its power. Of course, not everything went well. Some steps outside his comfort zone led to disappointment. He got rejected from opportunities. He felt awkward at new events. He launched a small online project that barely anyone saw. The old Ryan would have taken these outcomes as proof that he should stay safe. The new Ryan used them as proof that he was in the growth zone. He remembered something he had read. Comfort zone equals safety and stagnation. Growth zone equals discomfort and progress. Failure, he began to see, wasn't the enemy, it was evidence that he was moving. He stopped asking, "What if I fail?" and started asking, "What will I learn if I do this?" As he kept stretching, his identity began to shift. He no longer saw himself as the shy, careful guy who never takes risks. He started seeing himself as the person who does hard things in small steps. That identity change showed up everywhere. At work, he contributed ideas in meetings instead of staying quiet. In friendships, he was honest about what he wanted to do instead of just going along with others. In his personal life, he experimented with small trips, new hobbies, and creative projects, even when no one was watching. The more he stepped out of his comfort zone, the more he realized that the cage had never truly been outside him. It had been in his beliefs. About a year into his growth zone experiment, he looked around and saw that his whole life had subtly but significantly changed. He had transitioned into a role that fit his strengths better, one that challenged him but didn't crush him. He had a few new friends who shared his desire to grow, people he met in spaces he would never have entered if he had stayed safe. He had started a small side project aligned with his passions, not yet huge, but real. And most importantly, he woke up in the morning with a different feeling. Not dread, not total excitement every day, but a quiet sense that he was actually moving forward instead of just going in circles. If you're listening to this and realizing that your life feels safe but stuck, remember this: your comfort zone is not evil, but it is limited. It protects you from some pain, but it also protects you from growth, from new connections, from discovering what you're truly capable of. The fear of failure will always be there. It never fully disappears, but it doesn't have to be the driver. You don't have to destroy your life or take wild, reckless leaps. You can start exactly where you are, the way Ryan did, with one small step that makes you uncomfortable in a meaningful way. Say yes to the thing you always say no to. Share the idea you always keep to yourself. Sign up, speak up, show up. Growth doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It shows up quietly when you do the brave thing even while your hands are shaking. One day, you'll look back at the version of you who settled for safe but stuck and realize they were doing the best they could with what they believed at the time. Then you'll smile, grateful that you chose a different path. Not the easiest path, but the one that made you feel alive. This story comes from Willpower Stories, a channel created for people who are done living small, scared lives and are ready to step into their growth zone one brave decision at a time. Here, you'll find powerful motivational stories about comfort zones, comebacks, second chances, self-worth, discipline, and real-life transformations, told in simple English for a United States audience that wants real change, not just nice quotes. If you're ready to move from safe but stuck to fearlessly stepping out, subscribe to Willpower Stories, turn on notifications, and let every new story push you one step closer to the life waiting for you outside your comfort zone.